Hello, everybody. Back again. Lake Station Strongtown's community advocate and educator. I have part 3 of Stockholm Syndrome, and I'm going to go over a little bit deeper in depth of how that relates to our community. And before you think, this guy's crazy, this will never happen, this guy has no clue what he's talking about, feel free to do your own homework, go research this stuff for yourself, and you're going to find that a lot of what I'm saying, you're going to find out that it's true and it happens. I want you to think in Lake Station, what has been the societal or the community normal parameters of behavior, the normal responses of people who have ideas or think differently outside the said social group that is accepted here, or what happens to those when they stand up to or against the abusers in this community. And I'm going to call them abusers and bullies because that's what they are. When you have a mayor who calls people clowns and cowards and every name he could think of and pride himself on it, and people literally stuck in fawning syndrome are literally encouraging this person, you're part of that said in-group as well of bullies and abusers. And remember, like I said, while there's a lot of great things going on right now, or at least it looks like great things, remember that, our mayor has no problem telling everybody to be kind while he's bullying people and has been for the past 5 years. And he's done it openly on social media. Some of our police officers, some of our fire department, his administrators, even some people on the school board here have also supported that same behavior. And that creates a societal norm of being bullied and being an abuser. And it's so hypocritical, the so-called people who are here to help and to help the community and become better, they're the ones doing the abusing. So it becomes a accepted social community norm parameter. There's been a society social norm of loyalty to the mayor. We all know that. New residents have had to deal with being verbally attacked on social media, being mocked, even being told to leave town if you don't like it. And that's not just new members, but that's also residents who have been here for 50 and 60 years, who still live here, who said that this is the worst they've ever seen our administration and our community conditions be. They have spoken up against it, and they too have even been told, if you don't like it, leave. And yes, that's coming from the people who are in our administration and in our leadership. Quite frankly, I think it's time they just start voting these uneducated people, these uneducated bullies and abusers out of their positions. Some people will, just to keep their job or their duty or to be on the good graces of the mayor or the leadership, they will actually conform to the societal social norms in your community of being an abuser. They will jump on that bandwagon, and it's been created by somebody else, and that's what's really crazy. And oftentimes, people will also, in our community, of the in-group, out-group dynamics, and if you learn that, you can more than welcome pause this and research in-group, out-group dynamics. They will actually accept the abuse that's being done to others or even to themselves. They will actually literally find excuses to cover up that abuse, and they will do that just to simply even fit in. Even though the world around us is literally burning into a hot pit of sulfur, doesn't matter. Everybody's doing so great, they're doing so good, and you want to accept that abuse because you don't want to be on the bad side. Now, while Stockholm Syndrome often happens in things like kidnappings, where they're being pretty abused, human trafficking, usually happens in society group norms like communities and cult, and it seems very cult-like. And it's pretty obvious that this has been going on in our community for quite some time. And the main reason for Stockholm Syndrome is it's a survival mechanism. It's to treat survival. It's a mechanism that spurs by survival. They feel that they want to survive in some sort of way, whether that's fitting in, physically staying alive, whatever the case is. They will literally endure abuse and just negative things towards them, toxic people even, just to be accepted. And they will do these things to even hold positions of power. Like I mentioned before in part two, politicians have even been known to do a 180 with those that they even follow. Like 1 second they're on this, the next day they come out there in some other world. That's because of Stockholm syndrome. That's kind of what happens. People also do these things out of fear towards the authority. They don't want the authority figures in town or your community or whoever it is basically putting the fear of God into them or utilizing something. And here's what I mean in our community. How often has our code enforcement been weaponized to put the fear of God into people through code enforcement violation and fines, put them in blighted demolition court, and has been threatened their homes be taken or liened just because they didn't mow their grass or pick up a little bit of garbage. Like, it's obscene, right? That's why they're doing things. Also, this can happen over years, and it happens chronically. It's not very acute. Acute means a lot at a very short period of time. Chronically means little bits over long periods of time. Now, this has happened in our community probably more acutely in the past 5 years than it has in the past 20. It's gotten the worst. It's gotten pretty bad. And it happens often, like I said, and it happens more so often with poorer people or poorer communities. And usually with people that have vulnerabilities, very specific vulnerabilities. And here's what I mean. You ever notice the amounts of fundraisers we have in town that are very directly focused at our elderly in the community? And it's, by the way, people, that's not by accident. That's pretty well on purpose. So I want you to think about that. And the other thing is there are some factors that include things like the educational level, the emotional and level of the person, the cognition level. Maybe personal history, things like relationship, friendships. Maybe they're part of their social groups. They will also jump on the bandwagon of being abused and becoming an abuser. The abuser through time is seen as a savior, basically through like small signs of affection to those that they are being abused. Well, see, we did that for free, and then they throw it up in your face later on, or hey, we sent them over there to do that for you. We didn't charge you. We didn't have to. We could have charged you for that service. Or it's always something. Or, you know what, I'll turn my head this time, but next time I won't. Like, the abuser is seen as a savior. And if this don't sound familiar, the abusers will always have a violent outburst. As we've seen at our Vet Fest from our so-called leader, part-time leader, we've seen this kind of happen with these funny outbursts, and it's happened even at council meetings where the person was called out for wrecked city vehicles. They attacked the person, had the local news or the local media put a bad, article out about them, or when they're being confronted about how they're abusing their privileges for their personal vehicles and things like that, and the person has a hissy fit and then has them removed. We've seen this abuse. And this isn't me speaking out of my backside. Articles are there, but the articles always favor the administration because they're the ones that are on the same side. Again, Stockholm Syndrome. People have been blackmailed. They've been threatened about their jobs, about individuality. They've been taken to court, drugged through the courts, all because they didn't get their set outcome by the people who are not a part of their group or their bandwagon. So they come at them financially with a lawyer. They'll drag them through courts for 2 or 3 years. They'll go after a church. They'll go after individuals that maybe have called them out for this stuff. And in time, this all is accepted. It becomes a normal behavior within a community. And eventually the abuser's social group, they hold the authority and the power over all those that they abuse. So this is kind of how things kind of relate into a community. But again, don't take my word on it. I want you to do some homework on this. Find out for yourself. So for your bus ride home, I hope you learned something. And I hope you understand a little bit more how Stockholm Syndrome kind of relates to us as individuals, and actually how common it is within our community, and how that affects our community and our community conditions. I'm a Lake Station community advocate and educator. We need to do better, people. There is a better way. There's a lot better ways than what we've been experiencing, and don't let these small changes trick you. Be the change you want to be the change you want to see for yourself, for the community, because you may be able to change things for yourself, the community, for the long haul. And you might